here we are. So today, as we're going through, making our way through the course, the Jewish course of why, today our question is on a very interesting element of Jewish art, of Jewish, of jewelry, of all the good things, and this is about the Star of David. Why is the Star of David a Jewish symbol? And the truth is, it's interesting, and I know in some countries, more recently, it's put into the Israeli flag, but in some countries and cultures, the Star of David was much more kind of embedded into like identity as a Jew. Russia, I know, is one, and when people were less during communism, when people were not as comfortable sharing their Jewish identity because of fear of persecution and so on, it was common for people to kind of, when you saw somebody from a distance, you weren't sure if they were Jews, like one thing you would do was like a little secret code. You do the Star of David. You get it? Okay, all right, well, you're one of us. So what's up with this shape? What's up with the shape? Why is it called the Star of David? What's the significance of the shape? So here's the reality. The reality is that the origins and the development and meaning of the Star of David are indeed shrouded in mystery. It's not like in the Talmud, you won't find it. It's very obscure. There are a few interesting rabbinic theories into its origin and its meaning, and I'm going to go through two or perhaps three. Let's see how it goes. So number one, I'm going to quote from Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein was a modern day outstanding halachic sage, Jewish authority. In his time, he was like one of the preeminent authority on halakha, the code of Jewish, on law, on Jewish legal matters. He was a master in all areas of Jewish knowledge. He was born in Russia, immigrated to New York, and lived in the Lower East Side for the rest of his life until the 1980s when he passed away. And here it is, a reading from his Responsa, Igrot Moshe, the letters of Moshe. It is well known that the Star of David has been used on ark curtains and Torah covers for centuries without any controversy. Although we do not know the origins of the Star of David, this alone does not constitute an objection to its use. I guess somebody brought up like, hey, maybe it comes from idolatry, maybe it's pagan. He says, I'm not worried because it's been Jewish, that's clear. And unless you know of a particular issue, I'm not concerned for the issue. And then he goes on to what is perhaps the meaning behind it. In fact, one can find important symbolism in the Star of David, in that it serves to remind us that God reigns over what is above and below and over the four directions. Perhaps the connection with David is that when he went to war, he placed his trust in God's all-encompassing reign, and therefore, in accordance with the Torah's instruction to not be afraid while in battle, he was not intimidated by human armies and kings. He says something interesting. First of all, what's up with the shape? And his theory is there's something, when we say the Shema, it's actually, I don't know if you're familiar, there's a tradition for those when we say Echad, that there's one God. I do this, and there are some communities that do it, some individuals do it. You shake your head in all directions, kind of nodding that there's one God above, below, and all four corners. And I just do a brief Echad, like that's just a quick shake. And Echad, there's symbolism to it. The Dalit is the four corners, realizing four corners, meaning in all four directions. That's what we're saying. In all directions, when you go here, you go there. It's the same God. And Echad, the Chet is also about the heavens and the earth. It's a separate discussion, but the point here is that's where the shape comes from, right? The shape encompasses all directions. And then, why is it called the Magen, which Magen literally means the shield of David, this is what David protected himself in. Not a physical shield, probably not the best choice for what a shield should look like. But his protection was in the one God who is absolutely in control of everything everywhere, and therefore I'm not afraid. David was known for his unbelievable success in battle. He brought peace and tranquility to the Jewish community, to the Jewish people for the next many, many years. And this is what David's success. You want to know his secret sauce? It was Magen David. It was a star. We translate it as a Star of David, but it's also the shield of David. Who did David put his hope in? Who did David put his protection, his aspiration? And that is Hashem. That's what works. Okay, so that's number one. That's one approach. It's Rav Moshe Suri. He's not saying that I've read this anywhere. He's trying to find some meaning to it. Okay. Number two. By the way, in the Tanakh, there is no mention, in biblical texts, there's no mention about anything unique about David's shield. So it doesn't come from, again, as we said, it's shrouded in mystery because it is not something that's directly addressed. Okay. Number two, let's get to another approach to the Star of David. In Hebrew, Magen David, which means the shield of David. What does it mean? What's the shape and where does that David come in? So here we are. Rabbi Zalman Ehrenreich, another great, he was lived in Hungary. He was, and then in Romania, okay, and he was, he sadly perished in Auschwitz. And he authored two books. Evan HaBe'er, Lechem Shlomo, actually a third book, Avnei Malkom. Here's his answer. His answer is it's not a six shape. It is six shape. It is 6 points, but it's two triangles. It's two triangles. What's the two triangles? The way he puts it, I'll just tell you my own words. One triangle represents the Torah. One triangle represents the Jewish people. We are a tripod. We're triangular. We're made up of three components, and just as a triangle is. And there's three dimensions of the Jewish people. There's three dimensions of the Torah. And the good Jewish leader is one that knows how to put them both together. And let's see it in his own words. Here we are, I'm going to read from his work. The Talmud recounts in Tractate Shabbat how a certain Galilean lecturer, a Galilean individual, a fellow lived in the Galilee in Israel, he said, "Blessed is God who gave the three-dimensioned Torah to a three-dimensioned people." Why is the Torah three-dimensional? Why are the people three-dimensional? And he explained, this Galilean lecturer or teacher, he said, three-dimension Torah refers to the Bible, which consists of the Pentateuch, prophets, and writings. The Tanakh, three components of the Torah. Or, as some commentaries of the Talmud point out, why is the Torah called a three-dimension Torah? Because the Torah comprises the written Torah, the oral Torah, and the Kabbalah. So, three dimensions of the Torah. Why are the people three-dimension? Three-dimension people refer to the fact that the Jews, I'm reading here from his work, that the Jews consists of priests, Levite, and Israelites. This ties into the Seder plate because we have three matzahs on the Seder plate. Why do we have three matzahs? Because the three matzahs, one of the symbolism is, and many of the commentators that I've got to point out to give you a hint and allude to the three dimensions of the Jewish people. The top one is for the Kohanes, the second one is for the Levites, and the third one is for the Israelites. And it works beautifully why one is broken and all that, but that's for another time, the Kabbalistic mystical dimension of that. Okay, so we have now a three-dimension people, we have a three-dimension Torah. The Star of David, which consists of two interlaced triangles, each with 3 points, alludes to these tripartite entities. There were kings of Israel who fought valiantly on behalf of the Jewish people, but only for the people and not the Torah. It was just nationalistic. He says, no, that they missed the mark. In fact, many of them were wayward and neglected the Torah, but the Jews without the Torah are like a body without a soul. Without the Torah, we cannot be a people. The bond between the Jewish people and the Torah ought never to be severed. The bond will establish a vigorous Jewish continuity. Indeed, David, the pious and righteous king, fought his wars to protect both the Jewish people and the Torah. And you see how the two triangles are laced together. They're intertwined, they're interconnected. He thus linked the Torah of three with the people of three. This is the message conveyed by the Star of David. Okay, so the first is about God's protection, God's omnipotence, and reign over everything that happens in every direction. The second touches on what is a good Jewish leader looking to accomplish, not merely a completeness of the people, but completeness of the Torah, of the spirit of the people as well. And that's what King David represented. That's what David represented. That was the kind of leader that he was. And yeah, that's with that. Do we have time for a third? Yeah, let's go for. How much time do we got? Oh, we're almost at the end. I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll just tell you something real quick. I'll do it in my own words. I won't read a text. Because Lynn, you're here, and on our Kabbalah classes on Sunday morning, we dabble with the Hasidic, if you will, the mystical dimensions of the Torah, and in it we discuss that God has the 10 Sefirot. Sefirot are God chooses to communicate and to express his being, his essence, to the world by way of the 10 attributes. And the 10 attributes consist of 3 expressions, which would be in the cognitive, 3 cognitive expressions in the realm of wisdom and understanding and knowledge. And then there are 6 emotive attributes. God conveys himself through the act of kindness and through restriction, through a blend of the 2, which is called Tiferet, beauty, and so on and so forth. Netzach, Hod, Yesod, those are the names of the 6. And these 6 are the 6 are the 6 modes of God's expression. Under that is Malchut. Malchut means kingdom, but Malchut also is merely a reflection of the previous 6. Malchut means that I'm going to communicate by way of my position of leadership. I will communicate not anything particularly new, but all that has come before me. I know I'm going on a little quick Kabbalistic tangent here, but what I want to tell you is this. King David saw himself as the one who is positioned to best relate and to best communicate all the wonderful truths of the great Jewish leaders prior to him, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. They represent the various Sephirot, the various ways, modes of the way God expresses himself. They try to live up and be the conduit for God's divine energy to flow. David saw himself as Malchut, as to be a mirror, a great reflection of what has come before him. That's who he saw himself as. And that is where he, according to this theory, David carried the Star of David, maybe engraved in his magen, in his shield. Actually, there's a reading here that actually says that David held up such a shield, he would carry that, and as if to say, I'm the king who carries and tries to stay true to those wonderful ideals of those that have come before me. Why do I want to bring this in here? I'm probably the third reason I probably didn't do it enough time and didn't do enough justice. But I brought it in here because I want to tie it into the Seder plate as well. The Seder plate, I mentioned before 3 matzahs. They represent the 3 dimensions of the Jewish people. On top of the 3 matzahs, we have a total of 6. We have a total of 6 items on the Seder plate. And the plate itself is Malchut. The plate itself is a representative of just trying to receive all those wonderful divine energy that's above and to properly channel it. And the matzahs go under it. But this is if you see the interconnectedness of numbers, and obviously numbers are by design, they represent certain ideas, they convey ideas and truths. With this, we'll close off today, just to quickly recap. What's up with the Magen David, with the Star of David? What's up with the shape? And why do we associate it with King David? The first was from Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. He saw it as simply God's presence being all-encompassing in every direction and above and below. King David subscribed to that, and that was the secret to his success. And number 2 was the theory of the 2 triangles, the Jewish people and the Torah. Both are a triangle. They're made up of 3 components and linked together. That's really our strength when we connect the body and the soul of the Jewish people. Those are the 2 triangles. And the third, we went a little bit on a mystical tangent. I know we just dabbled in it. We didn't give a comprehensive approach to that one, but Thank you all for joining us. L'chaim. And we'll see you all tomorrow. We continue at 12:30 with our final question for this week. Why does the Torah call for animal sacrifice?